Hello everyone, this is Cobalt. This is the next video in my character analysis series for Brawlhalla. Stick around till the end to hear about entering the giveaway to win community colors, emotes, weapon skins, sidekicks, avatars, or even the battle pass, and voting for the next legends. And if you want to skip all this and get straight into the information, there's a timestamp in the description, and don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with the release of your favorite legend. In these analyses, I wanted to focus solely on the character's signatures. Light attack combos are covered much more in depth than I ever could elsewhere and function pseudo-comparably for all characters of that weapon class. So I'm not going to be discussing the general neutral of the character with their weapons unless it pertains in some way to their signatures. Firstly, I want to give clear descriptions of the terminology I'll be using. Startup frames are the amount of frames that happen after a move has begun until the first hitbox of the move becomes active. Active frames are the duration of frames that the move contains hitboxes that can collide with your opponent. FAF, or First Actionable Frame, is the first frame available where your character is able to move again after the move has been started. For all of this data, I use the character's jump to display the first actionable frame. Lastly, On Miss refers to the move not connecting with an opponent, and On Hit refers to the move making contact with an opponent. I'm going to be doing my analysis today on the next voted in legend, Teros. Teros was originally a stone carrier and a debt collector in Dragonport, using his terrifying appearance and strength to do these jobs well before becoming a fighter in the gladiator pits. He moved into the Fangwild Forest before joining the Iron Legion to fight a zombie lord. He has some freaking awesome skins, though I will say I'm not much of a fan of his character artwork, as I don't think that it conveys his character very well in the same way that the game model does. Teros' weapons are Axe and Hammer. Both of these weapons are pretty freaking good in the metagame right now, and given Brawlhalla's recent conversion to only online events due to reasons, his viability has skyrocketed thanks to the online delay. He's seen some decent competitive results recently due to these changes, and this cannot be overlooked considering he was considered one of the worst legends in the game for a very long time. His stat spread, however, really isn't that bad. An insanely high attack, terrible dex, and average defense and speed. So, is it his SIGs that are holding him back, or just the general nature of his weaponry? Well, let's find out. Let's start with Axe. Axe side SIG has 24 frames of startup, active frames from 25 to 31 and 48 to 53 with an FAF of 78. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Teros rampages forward with two distinct swings. As is the theme with most of his SIGs, they're quite powerful and this SIG has impeccable knockout potential. The issue with this SIG, like most of his SIGs, is that they're slow with their startup and end lag. If you miss this move, you're really likely to be punished hard, but the SIG is spammed like no other. The risk-reward on this SIG is pretty good due to its incredible power. It has good coverage directly in front of him, and the absolute only downside to this SIG is it being so slow. And even then, the startup isn't that bad. The SIG travels quite a good distance as well, so it can catch opponents even half the stage away. Additionally, there is a 17-frame gap between the two hits, which is pretty high. The SIG, again, is very high risk and very high reward, but online reaction time is significantly slower no matter how good the netcode and no matter how good the connection, which makes reacting to signatures like these much more of an obstacle. Axe neutral SIG has 18 frames of startup, active frames from 19 to 24 and 43 to 54 with an FAF of 75. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Teros jumps upward, swinging his axe before descending with a downward slam. This signature is excellent at catching jumping opponents as well as edgeguarding. It functions well facing away from stage or into stage whenever attempting to edgeguard, and sends the opponent downward with a huge amount of force. The disjointed hitbox on this move is pretty solid, and the grounded landing hitbox can catch opponents as well. Anytime anyone is off stage, this SIG is an instant go-to thanks to its lengthy active frames, and with axe recovery, whiffing it off stage isn't as terrible a liability as with some other weapons, though it definitely does have quite a bit of end lag, so it's not the best, but its startup isn't terrible. Axe down SIG has 20 frames of startup, active frames from 21 to 28 with an FAF of 53. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Teros simply swings his axe overhead. He remains stationary during this SIG, and it's worth noting that you cannot hit opponents that are completely stacked on him. This move knocks out really well and has really good coverage, being able to completely cover Teros with hitboxes above him. This move has average startup and FAF, though worth noting that this SIG has the lowest amount of end lag on any of his axe SIGs, though this is largely because this move is just a single swing as opposed to two, so this move has significantly lower active frames. Overall, though, it's not a bad SIG thanks to its solid coverage despite its mediocre frame data. Additionally, slide charging it off stage can potentially be beneficial as well for an edgeguard mix-up. Next up is his Hammer. Hammer side SIG has 19 frames of startup, active frames from 20 to 32 with an FAF of 61. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Teros swings his hammer in front of him with a powerful thrust. This move has a good bit of knockout potential, and its frame data isn't that bad either. His frame data is about average, but it's not awful, and with the high knockout power and coverage this move offers, it's not quite that bad. It covers a good bit of distance as well, being able to act as a good burst option or coverage tool for opponents trying to approach or run away. Hammer neutral SIG has 17 frames of startup, active frames from 18 to 25 with an FAF of 45. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. On hit, it functions as a command grab with a new FAF of 70. Teros thrusts his hammer into the air in front of him, and if it connects, it grabs the opponent and throws them downward in the opposite direction. This move has a really high amount of force, pretty solid startup frames, and pretty good FAF. It's honestly a solid SIG on his kit, and is really useful as ledge as well. It's amazing the range this move has, really. If you gravity cancel it off stage, the hammer can literally rip people off of the stage. It's crazy. Not to mention that it has about the same coverage as Cassidy's neutral SIG on hammer, and has utility for the same reason in that it covers the range hammer usually cannot. Additionally, it can also convert out of downlight in a similar manner to Cassidy and Course, though this isn't necessarily a true combo. Hammer down SIG has 19 frames of startup, active frames from 20 to 24 and 40 to 50 with an FAF of 65. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Teros spins his hammer around him with two distinct swings. It's a powerful SIG, and the first hit links into the second. It has average startup and slightly above average FAF. It's common for the first hit not to connect, and the second one still will. This is a useful SIG in neutral, and offers him some specific but helpful coverage surrounding him. But it's easily jumpable, so watch out. Plus, there is that big frame gap in between the two hits, meaning it's possible to be hit out of. So, honestly, overall his SIGs are pretty slow. They have slightly above average startup in most cases, but his end lag is a fair bit higher than the average amount in terms of frame data. Teros has been one of the most spam legends in terms of SIGs for quite a while. So why is this? His frame data certainly doesn't reflect the nature of these moves thanks to their hefty end lag. So what is it? Well, I think probably two things. Firstly, it's a lot harder to dodge moves like these online, and secondly, knocking out your opponents in orange is really fun. Teros has been a fan favorite for a long time, and there's never been a point where I didn't see Teros being used in ranked mode at one point or another. He's really fun to use, honestly, and those SIGs make it even more so. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that his SIGs are god tier or anything, because they aren't. They have a lot of lag and can be punished really hard. Are they better online? Absolutely. His competitive results have 100% reflected that in both 1s and 2s these past couple of months. I think that the axe buffs a few patches back definitely upped his viability as well, and hammer is really solid right now too, so that coupled with his high strength is certainly beneficial, and then whenever you add his nuclear bombs of power in his signatures, it makes for a very polarizing character that has some incredible knockout power. Today's code to put down in the comments is Toros, along with your Twitter handle, and if you get that reference, I appreciate it. Also, I'll be streaming live on Twitch tomorrow evening, Central Standard Time, so be sure to tune in. The link will be in the description below. Tune in tomorrow for coverage on the next highest voted legend from this week. Comment to vote for the next 5 legends. I'll be continuing this once a day, Monday through Friday, over the next 10 weeks until all 50 legends are covered. So, thanks for joining me on this ride. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the release of your favorite legend, and hope to see you back for the next one. Once again, I'm Cobalt, and thanks for watching.